show you how to make some cool scrapbook backgrounds. Of course, you could use this technique for art journaling or anything else. So just a couple supplies that I have here, just so you know. I have a couple sheets of cardstock. People all the time when they do jelly printing think they have to start with white cardstock, but actually colored cardstock is a great choice. The same thing with your background in your art journal. It's great to start with a colored piece. I have a jelly plate, and you may notice that this jelly plate is huge, and that's because I need it to actually be larger than my cardstock so that I can print on it. And then the jelly plate comes in this clamshell case, which you should keep it in. That's always a good idea. And then in here is the jelly plate, and you'll notice I don't keep my jelly plate particularly clean, and it's sandwiched between two pieces of acetate. If you've never ever done any jelly printing, you are going to become an addict because it's awesome. Now we're going to be doing the most basic of techniques with our jelly plate. If you're interested in doing a lot more techniques, I have a great online class called Getting Started with the Jelly Plate. Or maybe it's even called Getting Started with Jelly Printing. And you can check that out on my website at balzerdesigns.com/classes.html. And you can see all about that. So I have my jelly plate and it's just sitting down. This is just some scrap paper that I like to work on top of. You could use any surface that you happen to have. And then I have a brayer. This is a Speedball rubber brayer. I really like it. I think it's awesome. I think this is the 4-inch. It might be the 3-inch actually. It looks like the 3-inch, which is a great size for this plate. Then I have a variety of acrylic paints here. There's no particular brand or kind. I will say that the cheaper craft paints are less pigmented, and so you get your prints aren't as opaque. I also happen to have some gesso here, which you can also use, but you can see just a wide variety of acrylic paint of all kinds. And then I have some stencils, and today we're working with, this one is called Snow Branch. Really lovely. I love it. And this one is called Geo Explosion. And I'm going to show you a different technique with each of these. So this one we're going to print with, and this one we're going to use as a mask. So if that doesn't make any sense, don't worry. And then I have a pile here of deli paper that sort of is halfway printed. Some of this has, like, this was a jelly print that I did on top of here. Some of it's just brayer cleaning, but this is basically, I clean my tools and stuff off on this deli paper, which is great, inexpensive stuff, and then I get to use it for all sorts of collage fodder later, or I also use like the paper here to clean off my brayer. Anyway, enough talking. Let's get to printing. Okay, so the first technique is let us go ahead and use the Snow Branch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some paint out onto my plate. I'm going to use some of this, and how much paint really depends on how sloppy a print you want, and also like the thickness. It's better to put too little paint on and then add some more than have too much that's gooping off all over. Now, of course, you'll notice that I mixed up two colors, and I like that because I like not having a flat color. If you're a person who likes flat color, rock on with your bad self and go ahead and use a single color that really appeals to you. The other thing you'll notice is that I'm going in both directions when I'm working here on the jelly plate, and that's really important to getting nice, even coverage. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And if I use lighter pressure, then my brayer doesn't leave any lines. If I use heavier pressure, there you can see, right, I get the skid marks of my brayer. So I'm going to go ahead on there, and then I'm going to take my stencil, and I'm going to go ahead and place it down sort of centered, because again, I want this to print on a 12 by 12 piece of paper. And then I'm going to clean off my brayer right onto this deli paper, which is great, and then I don't have to worry about having a dirty brayer. So now I'm ready to pull my first print. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my cardstock, and I'm printing onto this red cardstock. I'm going to put it face down. For me, that's the texture side down. And then using my hand, I'm going to push, but notice how I have this paint here that I don't want to get my hands into. So I'm just going to, again, this is what deli paper is so great for. I'm just going to cover this up, and that way I'm going to get the paint all over the deli paper and not all over my hands. So now I'm just sort of pushing and mushing and gently massaging the paint onto here. I'm not squishing really hard. If you have a ton of paint on here, this is going to lead to a really messy print, okay? And then let's move the deli paper out of the way. And then let's take a peek. I'm holding one hand here and I'm peeking to see what I got. Looks like I could do a little more rubbing. And I don't care that the back is getting a little something something. That doesn't matter to me. So I'm going to go ahead and keep rubbing, 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 rubbing. Pull it back. Yeah. Oh, baby, that looks so good. Okay, check it out. How cool is that? I think it's really exciting. I love pulling jelly prints. So this is awesome. So I'm going to put this aside to dry. And now I'm going to take some more of my deli paper. And if you didn't have deli paper, use copy paper. Use whatever paper you have around. Just don't let all that yummy paint and pattern and everything else go to waste. You can see it just starts adding up the layers. And then when this paper becomes saturated with enough layers, then I will go ahead and retire it into my collage material pile. So, okay, so now I'm just gonna pull this off and I am going to take it, place it down on here, face down. So that's the side that was against the jelly plate is down. Roll over it with my brayer. That's gonna give me another print, which is awesome. My stencil's ready to be put away because it's clean now. Believe it or not, this is the only way that I ever clean my stencils. Then there's a little more good stuff on here, so I'm gonna go ahead and clean that up. Nothing is wasted. Overlapping paper where I need to, just picking up whatever I can. There you go, pretty cool, right? You can see that you just get a little bit of pattern everywhere. Okay, so this plate is clean enough for me to do my next thing. I know you're saying like, Julie, that's clean. Yeah, baby, that's clean, okay? So let's go ahead and add some more paint and do our next thing. So remember I said we were gonna do printing. So actually I need to clear a little bit of space so that you can see what I'm going to do, because we're going to do some printing. So in this case, what I'm doing, and I could have done it with the other stencil, I just wanted to be fancy and show you a different look. You know, jelly printing is something, people think of it as accidental, but you can actually be really purposeful. And again, I hate to always sound like an advertisement, but I do talk a lot about this in my online class if you want to know more. Okay, so I'm going to put out a little bit of paint. Let's mix some cray colors, shall we? What a good idea. You guys are full of good ideas. So let's roll that out. Roll it out. Ooh, I'm liking the way that that looks. Such a pretty mixture. Okay, so I'm just rolling it out, rolling it out, rolling it out, rolling it out. And at any point, if you feel like there's not enough paint on your plate, feel free to add some more. You should not feel like, oh God, the paint is so thin. And this is one of the, if there is a learning curve with jelly printing, there's really two things that you learn as you go. The first is how much paint to put on. And the second is really how to print intentionally and get the results that you want. Okay, so actually before we do the printing, let me clean my brayer off. Here's a nice piece of jelly paper. Let's just clean that off. Look at that pretty purple color. Okay, so now my brayer's clean. Great. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do, I'm putting it, oh, this has textured cardstock. Let's put it textured side up. Okay, so I'm taking my stencil and I'm putting it down. And then I don't care about this print, so I'm just gonna use some deli paper that's already been used and go ahead and throw it on top of there. Although I'll probably take two pieces because this plate is so darn big. Because this print is actually not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in what we can do with the stencil after this print has been made. So I'm just going ahead, wah, and doing that. And then I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And let's see. I mean, this is pretty, don't get me wrong, right? It's really super pretty, but it's not actually the print that I want. The print that I want is the print that the stencil itself is gonna make. There's paint on here, right? So I'm just gonna flip it over, and maybe I don't want it right in the center. Maybe I actually want it coming in slightly from the side, because that seems like a good idea. And then I'm just gonna take my brayer, which we know is clean because I cleaned it off onto some deli paper, And I'm going to rub-a-dub-dub it into there. So I'm really like stamping with my stencil. And what it should happen is it should be a very faded, kind of cool image under here. So it's a way of stenciling that doesn't dominate. Oh yeah, that looks nice. Very aged, kind of funky, cool looking, like that, okay? A soft look. If I wanted a stronger look, there's a lot more paint left on the plate, which I will clean up right here and show you. But again, I was going for the softer look, and that's what I mean when I say to you, you have to think about what it is that you want, because that's the print that you should go after. So let's see. Now look how nice those layers of paint on that deli paper is mixing, right? There's that yellow mixing with the blue and the purple. It's so lovely. Okay, so that was sort of quick and dirty, very simple jelly printing to make a scrapbook background, either something like this, or something soft and faded like this, or just to make really cool paper that you can use for collage and all sorts of other things. So I hope you enjoyed this, and please do visit my blog at balzerdesigns.typepad.com.